Have you ever stopped to think about how our relationship with technology is affecting our mental health? In today's world, where we are connected 24 hours a day, it's never been harder to find a moment of peace, right? The phone is never far from our hands, the internet is never out of reach, and as much as we might think we have it all under control, the impact of this constant connectivity goes far beyond what we imagine. Have you ever noticed how minutes turn into hours as you scroll through social media? How each notification sounds like an alert that something important is happening, and you just can't resist checking it? This constant feeling of being up to date, of not wanting to miss anything, comes at a high price. And that price is often anxiety. In today's video, I want you to reflect with me on how the digital age is becoming one of the greatest triggers for a problem that affects millions of people around the world: anxiety. You might be thinking, but I only get a little anxious, that's normal. But the truth is that anxiety goes beyond that uncomfortable feeling. It can literally take over our lives, impacting our physical and mental health, altering our mood, and even changing the way we relate to others. Of course, anxiety has always existed. Who hasn't felt nervous before a presentation or tense in a difficult situation? That's natural. But the anxiety we're talking about here isn't the occasional kind. It's the kind that persists, that grows without stopping, spreading into various areas of our lives, and over time, it becomes harder and harder to control. Now imagine that the anxiety isn't just arising because you have an important task to complete or because something in your relationship isn't going well. No. What's happening is that you're being bombarded with information all the time. Social media, messaging apps, emails. Everything creates a constant cycle of alerts, notifications, and stimuli that keep your brain in alert mode all the time. The problem is that our brains weren't designed to handle this overload of information, and worse still, this emotional overload. When you check social media and see pictures of people on amazing vacations, enjoying luxurious dinners, or showing off their perfect lives, it triggers automatic comparison. And this constant comparison can make you feel inadequate, as if your life is inferior to others. It creates a vicious cycle of anxiety and insecurity, where you never feel good enough, never feel like you're doing enough. And what happens when you feel like this? Your mind starts seeking more validation, more approval, more confirmation that you're on the right path. But deep down, you know that external validation is a false sense of security. And do you know what's even worse? Because of this constant exposure to information, our brains begin releasing substances like cortisol, the stress hormone, which, when elevated, harms our immune system, raises blood pressure, and can even affect our sleep. And what many don't realize is that prolonged stress, caused by this continuous state of alert, can trigger a series of physical and emotional issues, such as depression, panic attacks, sleep disorders, and even heart disease. It sounds like a worrying scenario, doesn't it? But you're not alone. The good news is that there is a way to regain control over your life and find a healthy balance between the digital and real worlds. The first thing you need to understand is that digital anxiety won't disappear overnight, but you can take small steps to minimize its impact. For example, how many times have you caught yourself checking social media right after waking up or before going to bed? This habit can be one of the biggest triggers of anxiety. If you want to start taking control of your mental health, one of the first things you should do is set clear limits for how much time you spend on your phone. It may seem simple, but when you start designating specific times for social media and spend more time doing offline activities, you create a healthy distance between yourself and the constant bombardment of information. Another important point is realizing that you don't need to be 100% up to date all the time. Often, anxiety arises because we feel we can't leave a message unanswered or check a notification. But if you allow yourself to disconnect for a while, you'll realize that the world won't collapse. You'll discover that your real life, the one happening here and now, is far more important than any notification. But you might be asking, what if I need to stay updated for work or to keep in touch with friends? That's true. Balance is key. The secret is not to abandon technology, but to learn how to use it consciously so that it works for you, not against you. The truth is we're addicted to information, and this addiction leads us to live in a constant state of stress. The famous FOMO, or fear of missing out, is a powerful trigger for anxiety. So, The next time you start feeling anxious about not knowing everything, stop and breathe. Ask yourself, do I really need to know this right now? Is this going to change anything in my life or well-being? Another factor closely related to digital anxiety is task overload. Often, when working online or studying remotely, the feeling that I need to do everything at once takes over. Instant gratification is a huge villain here. We want quick answers, quick solutions, quick results, but this only increases the pressure and anxiety. If you've ever felt pressured to be productive all the time, know that this is a reflection of the digital society we live in. The pressure to be efficient and productive every second makes our minds spiral into anxiety and exhaustion. It creates the feeling that there's never enough time for anything, and that we're always chasing something that seems just out of reach. But here's the key to start breaking free from this cycle. Slowing down. Yes, slowing down. Did you know that taking time to rest, engaging in activities that don't involve screens, like walking outside, meditating, or even exercising, can significantly reduce your anxiety levels? When you give yourself permission to slow down, your mind begins to regain balance, and the tension you carry starts to dissolve. Over time, this leads to more clarity, more focus, and above all, more peace. And I know it can be difficult to take that first step because when we're in the middle of the storm of anxiety, it's hard to think that a break could be the solution. But trust me, slowing down is the first step toward regaining control. When you're constantly speeding through life, your body and mind don't get the opportunity to process what's going on around you. It's like a computer that, when overloaded, starts to freeze. And in the case of your mind, this freezing manifests as symptoms of anxiety, depression, and stress. So, by taking a break, by simply stopping and breathing, you start to give your mind space to reorganize, relieve the accumulated tension, and provide clarity to make more balanced decisions. Don't let the frantic pace of modern life dictate your emotional state. So, in the end, the issue isn't whether technology is good or bad, but how you choose to use it. We're living in a world where information is just a click away, but that doesn't mean you have to be 100% available 100% of the time. True freedom lies in being able to set healthy boundaries and make conscious choices about how and when to connect. If you learn to disconnect a bit, you'll notice that your anxiety levels can drop significantly, and more importantly, you'll rediscover the joy of living in the present moment without the pressure of constantly chasing something. What will you choose from now on? You have the power to transform your relationship with technology and put an end to digital anxiety. After all, your mental health should be a priority. So, how about starting today? Make a small change in your day and observe the results. What you decide today can shape tomorrow. The balance